This episode will be in English right after the Danish intro. Velkommen til Karriereklubben, en podcast, der hjælper dig med dine personlige udfordringer i karrieren. Mit navn er Rossmeisl, og jeg er dagens vært. And now I'm joined by this amazing panel. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So today marks the first edition of the Career Club in English, and it's in collaboration with Innofounder. So we're going to discuss the startup journey and answer some questions about how to start the first company. And I think we should start with you presenting yourself, and maybe we can start with you, Anna.
Sure, thank you. So my name is Anna Andonovska, and I'm one of the founders of Innofounder. And what we do is we try to increase the number of women founders and investment opportunities for them in the Nordics.
Nice. And we can maybe continue with you, Cecilie.
Yes, my name is Cecilie, and I'm the founder of wawa Fertility. Founded wawa 3 years ago. Wawa is a company producing software for fertility clinics to optimize how we're treating patients suffering from infertility today. We are a team of 6 people based out of Copenhagen and London.
Nice. And Jan, we also need an introduction from you.
Yes. So I'm Jan Krog Henningsen. I'm one of the 2 founders of Second Foundation. Second Foundation helps early stage startups build a solid foundation to grow a scalable business from. We also operate the Innofounder incubator as part of the Innofounder startup program owned by Innovation Fund Denmark.
Nice. And are you ready to talk about the startup journey?
Yes.
You all have experience with it in different ways. And I'd like to ask you first, Cecilie, what would you say as a founder is one of the most important things to have in mind when starting the first company?
There's so many things, so now I'll just try to make it one thing. I think it's very important to spend a lot of time figuring out who's the right partner for you to work with. If you are going to have a co-founder or more co-founders, that's probably the most important thing. Spend enough time on figuring out if you are right for each other. And if you don't have co-founders, as me, then the team. That's the most essential thing. To know yourself, what you are good at, and then what you will need from the team around you.
So find a good co-founder.
I don't have a co-founder. So
no? Okay.
So if you
so you haven't listened to your own advice.
No, but co-founders is not. I think you can go. For example, I have a founding engineer. He's been with me from almost the beginning. I'm obviously not I'm not the technical person on my team. He's amazing. I knew from the beginning that it's really important and to have someone who can support you on the technical side, who can lead the technical side. And so be aware of what you need. If you need a co-founder, if that's the way you're working, then find co-founders. If you don't have co-founders, find the right people to be on the team from early on. I think that's the most important. I didn't spend enough time in the beginning on considering these things, at least. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's a reflection now that maybe
Definitely.
You should have used some more time on it.
Yes.
What about you, Jan? What do you think?
Well, I just sat here and listened to Cecilie and thinking, yeah, you're so right. What you started out saying that there's so much, right? That are the right
Where
things
to start?
Where to start? But I often what often springs to mind is the wise words of Nikolaj Højer, that on a team there needs to be someone who can build and someone who can sell.
Yes.
And that's actually, I think that's a very good rule of thumb.
Yeah.
I want to say what I also came to think of listening to you, Cecilie, was that find a problem that you're passionate about.
Yes.
Because it's going to be rough. It's going to get real dark sometimes.
Yeah.
It's also going to be real light sometimes, but be passionate, because that you need that to drive, right?
You need to have that fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's an amazing point. Very important.
Do you have anything to build
add,
Anna?
Yeah, I think to build up on the passion thing is, I think that's also sometimes hard to articulate. Like, okay, I have a passion for fashion, but what does that mean? Do I have to care about it every day? And I think that's true. And I think one kind of step, kind of a subtopic within that one is you really have to understand what is your job going to be day to day. I think a lot of people don't even think about it. They say, for example, I want to build a new courses platform. Okay, that means that most of your time will be chasing people who want to create courses. Is that what you want to do on day to day?
Sure.
Beside the passion, what is like the practical things you have to do? I mean, we all have tasks that we don't like to do, we have to do. But if most of your time is doing things you don't like to do, then it's going to be really hard, even if you care about the problem, I feel like.
Yeah, and maybe it's also sometimes portrayed a little bit glossy. I mean, what it is to start a company, and it's not glossy every single day.
It's actually never glossy.
It's never glossy.
Except in media. When you give an article in interview, that's glossy.
Except right now, right?
Right now. Exactly. And now let's get started with all the dilemmas we have received from early stage founders. Are you ready?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, the first one goes here. Dear Even Founders and the Career Club, I find myself in a challenging situation as I aspire to start my own business, but I'm lacking the financial resources to do so. I have a great idea and a strong drive to make it succeed, but without capital, I'm not sure how to proceed. Many of the traditional routes for financing a startup seem out of reach for me at the moment. I'm wondering if you have any advice or suggestions on how I can bootstrap my startup financially without any initial investment. I'm aware this might involve being creative and resourceful, but I really hope I can find a way to bring my idea to life. Best wishes, Clara. Okay. Lack of financial resources. You wanna start, Jan?
Yep.
Yeah.
Apply for Innofounder. Window closes in 4 days from now. I don't know when this is transmitted, but sure.
Yeah.
So getting your hands on grants.
Yeah.
To get started, and also basically in most investors' perspective, it's also a way to de-risk your startup idea. But there was also a question there about bootstrapping.
Yeah, exactly.
Requires maybe a bit more information, but...
Yeah, maybe you should continue with that,
Yes.
Cecilie.
So I bootstrapped for the first almost a year or something like that.
Yeah.
And of course, it's also like it depends on your own situation. I was in a situation where I financially had some room to like, I'm still not getting a very high salary, so don't ever expect that, especially when you're raising money. I think a very important thing is thinking about how you're spending that money. It will never be a very high salary for yourself. So I bootstrapped the first year or so. It was really tough, but it was worth everything, because when we then raised our first round after almost a year, we got a better valuation, got a better start, got better investors, we got more help. So if you have the time and room for it, and that depends on your private situation. At this point, I just had my second child, and I came out of, I never did maternity leave, but I had like part-time work when I had him. And it was just a good time because I needed to start something new. I was used to not making that much money at that point. It was working. I think the only thing to say about bootstrapping is do it for a period of time. Try to plan it. I knew that we were going to raise within the first year. We made a plan. We wanted to show some kind of traction. I think it's a good idea to maybe start early conversations either with other founders or with someone like Jan or someone who actually knows something about, like, that could also be a fund if you want to go raise from funds or family funds, to ask them, like, what do you need to see from me if I want to raise later? And then you have some kind of a target. I'm actually still doing the same. We raised pre-seed and seed. I ask my own investors right now and a few others, like, what do you want me to do before raising the next round? Kind of like a milestones more than metrics, because then I have a goal and it's like I can easier plan towards that goal.
But still, how do you start it? I mean, because that also seems like a lot when you don't have that financial resources.
I can also share what we teach at Even Founders, because this is exactly what we teach. Is like you have an idea, but you don't know what to do.
Exactly.
And what we always advise our founders is that if you have a full-time job, don't quit your full-time job, because there are tools and ways how you can test an idea without involving millions, right? You still need to spend some money on, I don't know, a landing page and some maybe ads if you want to run ads to test stuff. But there are ways to validate the problem you want to solve while having a full-time job. So I think that's one, is just realizing that you don't have to quit to test your idea. And there are ways to test your idea where it doesn't involve millions.
But you always hear this, go big or go home.
Yeah, but I mean, you hear that from people who are already on the other side, right? You don't hear it from people who are doing it. That's one thing. Second thing is that if you go full-time on it, a lot of founders actually at the beginning sell something else. Like they would sell, for example, you're building a software, say, for fertility clinics, but while building a product, you might be selling consulting services.
Yes.
So that's like, it's very important to say that what you sell at the beginning you just have to start selling. That's really, really important to start selling as early as possible, but it's not necessarily the final product. You're selling something so that you have some income while building the product.
Yeah, exactly. But there's also a point to be made about like what kind of a startup is it? Because there are at least two main categories within startups. There are like the growth startups that often require some capital and have like potential to become like really big. Yeah. And then there's the company you found where you basically register a CVR number, VAT number, and you make your own business. And as long as it can sustain you, maybe your family, all is well. It's not like any one of those are better than the other. It's just two very, very different aspects. If it's the former, if it's the first one I mentioned, the growth startup, it's not always, I would say, recommendable to start to just be selling. Even though I get your point, Anna, but sometimes we actually advise Innofounder startups to don't go out and sell right now, because you are onto something here that can grow insanely big. If you start selling, you shift gears. And then you're getting customers. And I'm just if pursuing the point here, sorry, Anna. But if you get customers too early, you will have an obligation towards them, and they will actually carve out a substantial part of your time. And what I hear the most is this money question. Like, how do I do without money? Money, racing. And what I see as the main problem is actually time. It's focus, what you spend your time on. That is actually the most critical resource.
Yes.
Look at time as a resource, just like money is a resource. There's so much money in the world. You can always get more money. Sorry, it sounds arrogant, but it's true. Time,
Yeah, we all have the same amount of time.
Yeah, and when we spend an hour doing this podcast, that hour is gone. It better be good.
I think another very important point is also to say, like, that again depends on what kind of company you're actually building. I'm building a tech company. We can do it human resources. Like today, you can actually build a lot of tech stuff like apps or like even AIs or without actually spending money. So for me, it's more about like, we never went out and tested by spending money on like a Facebook ad or something like that. So we built something and then we went out and actually spoke to someone. So I think that's back to my point about getting the right people around you, making sure like I can sell stuff. I can also be a visionary. I can also make lunch for the team or whatever my job is as a CEO today. But I think what I couldn't do was like actually building something and also make sure to build it in the right way. So find a partner that can do that, and you can get quite far without actually spending money. So that's why I'm like more back to bootstrapping for me is figuring out your own private situation, because if you can be 2 or 3 good people together, you can get pretty far without any money, to be honest.
I think it's also this whole notion about getting VC money. Yeah, it's just something, that you hear in the media and you see a success. But also, I think if you talk about a high growth startup that Jan is talking about, you need that cash. You cannot be growing so fast if you don't have external cash.
True.
I think this is changing today.
It is changing.
I think it's changing, and I think it's really important to say that it's changing. Like, first of all, VCs are starting to look at this in a different way. They don't want the same hyper growth. there's more focus on someone like us spending our money in a better way. Like we're 6 people team, even though we raised, I don't know, 4 million pounds or something like that over the past 3 years. We could have been more people. It's so much more important for us that we're thinking about how to spend the money, and we can grow fast without having to spend to grow. Like it's more, there's a bigger focus on product market fit actually today. I think that's also important to mention. Yeah. We are in the high growth category, but we are not spending money like crazy.
I think you have found the right investors, that's why.
No, but it also has changed a lot.
It has changed, and profitability is also much more important now to investors.
Because it's not a bull market the same way it has been, right? So
that's why also, for example, what it used to mean to raise pre-seed is very different in the past versus now. Like now you have to have traction to raise even pre-seed. Before that it was like, you seem cool, I'm going to give you money. It's not like that anymore.
It's actually almost true. Right? You could raise like obscene pre-seed rounds on the deck, basically. Yeah.
You could still do that today in A rounds if you are working in health tech with AI, I think. But so there's always these topics, right?
Yeah,
where it's like, this is really interesting, or you once worked at Pleo or something like that. So there's
Okay, so what would you do in this situation if you were to start new company and find the financial resources? It seems like there's a lot of options here. So today, what would be the right path? Maybe you can...
I think the right path is to test the idea while you're in your full-time job.
Yes.
I honestly think that's the right path. If you can afford to go full-time without an actual job and a salary, then you can do that. But I actually think the best is just to spend 3 months, just test it and see what is the response. Test the problem, basically. Does this problem even exist? And then the sooner you get like confirmation of your hypothesis, then the easier it is for you to say, okay, I have 6 months salary, I have saved up. Next 6 months, I'm just going to focus on like building this company. If it doesn't work, then I go back to a full-time job, right?
Yeah.
I do agree on that, Anna. But I would also say like sometimes there is this mistaken dedication towards I want to solve this problem. Well, are you actually sure this really is the problem? Are you just maybe being close to the real problem? So to be curious about what is the problem really out there, because you have some sense of an idea, you have some sense of a problem that deserves solving, but go out and be curious and be humble, be openly curious about this problem. And if you do consultancy, I think that was also a good point. Make sure to like target your consultancy so that it actually gives you data and money.
Yes. I agree with you on that, Jan. And I think for me it was actually not, in our situation at least, the problem was pretty clear. Like more and more people need help to actually start a family, and the success rates are too low and it's not accessible enough. So it was not the problem, but my solution changed many times over the past 3 years.
That too.
So I think be open-minded, because you never know what's the right solution. So if you have the problem, you still don't know what the solution will be. I would say validate. I agree, Anna, a lot. Validate the problem. Do it fast. I agree also on the 3 month, and then it is just also a risk. Just have to remember
you have to take that
risk. It is a risk, and you have to be okay with that. You will not start a new company and have a lot of support financially, or at least in most cases. And that's a part of being a founder, and it's just really important. And it's more about then being okay with failing.
And okay with making decisions without really knowing.
Exactly.
Because I think that's a super strong point you're making there, Cecilie, because it has a lot to do with mindset.
Yes.
So if you have been like a student your whole grown-up life, then you have what I would respectfully refer to as a student mindset. If you have been like in corporate for 20 years, you have a corporate employee mindset. A founder mindset is a lot different, but it has strong parallels to a leadership role, because if you start a company, you will be the leader of this company and you will be a leader. That doesn't mean high salaries, fast cars, and a big house up north, but it basically means sweeping the floor, making food for your team, as you do, Cecilie. But it also means making decisions when they need to be made. And sometimes you have 80% knowledge to make the decision. Sometimes you only have 10, but it's now you need to make it. So you just have to call it.
I think that's a good way to round up this dilemma and give some great advices for Clara. First of all, Clara, I mean, everyone in this panel think you should really test your idea and pursue that dream. And you can do that in many ways. It doesn't have to require money, actually. I mean, maybe you could start just testing it out like Anna says and have your full-time job at the same time. That's a way to do it. You can also do consultancy, try to earn some money beside your company, or maybe try to, as you're figuring out what is actually the problem you're going to solve here. But the panel and also Jan has a really important point with that. This is also about, changing your mindset. If you're going to be a founder, you have to adapt a founder's mindset. And it's really different from a student's mindset or a corporate mindset. You have to also adapt to be a leader, be comfortable with that. I mean, this will require some risk, and it will require some losses, maybe also doing the way to pursue this dream. But if you're determined enough and you have that fire, we're sure you will manage. Thank you so much for your dilemma. That was the first one. Are you ready for the next dilemma?
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah? It goes here. Dear Even Founders and the Career Club, I need help figuring out how to handle the good and bad parts of being a founder. Starting a business is exciting, but it's definitely also tough. On the bright side, being a founder lets me make my own decisions and build something I care about, and watching my startup grow and make a difference feels amazing. Plus, working with a passionate team. But being a founder also has its tough moments. The pressure to succeed can feel like a lot for me, and setbacks can make me doubt myself every single time. It's hard to balance work with taking care of myself and my relationships at the same time. So how do I deal with the tough parts of being a founder? How can I stay strong when things get hard? And how do I make sure I'm not getting too stressed out or even burned out? Best wishes, Simon. Okay.
Very good question.
Yeah.
That was a very, very nice question.
And maybe something everyone, that has started a company knows of. Yeah.
Yes.
Will you start, Cecilie?
Yes. First of all, I so much agree. I think this has been, being a founder is the best I've ever done, but it's seriously killing me at the same time, to be honest. And I actually don't think that people are good enough at talking about this. I will just say I'm not going to swear, it's extremely tough to be a founder in many different levels. I've been so challenged the past 3 years. Yes, where to start? The pressure.
Where to start and all the tough times.
I think what has been really helpful for me, and I've been thinking about this lately, actually, that I've just learned now after many years. I was also self-employed before wawa. I think that's important to mention. So definitely not something I learned in 3 years. It's really tough to make that many mistakes. You feel like an idiot. You feel like you're when you have to, you make a lot of mistakes. I think I'm starting to learn that is normal. Everyone makes a lot of mistakes. It's not me. It's not me who cannot figure out how to do this the right way. I make mistakes with people. I make mistakes with clients. I make mistakes with the team. I make mistakes with my life or work-life balance. It's not. So
you are actually a human. You're a human founder.
I'm
That's
a human
what you
founder,
say.
apparently. Yes, but
not an AI.
I feel like very often that I've been like, this has been the worst thing for me, actually. So lots of pressure on that. I finally started to accept now that this is normal. And I think for me to normalize this has been to figure out like getting a network with other founders, other people who are doing the same, and also find someone who are ready to talk about the real things. Because there's a lot of bullshit as well when you're a founder. A lot of people also figuring out how to build their own brand and like do all of these things. So find some really good people around you. There's networks also in Denmark. I'm a part of a few networks, and get to know people who are actually willing to talk to you when like things are going down. That's really amazing to have someone else say, oh yeah, I also did that, or I made that mistake, or I did. That is really good. Normalize the hard things in this. I think that I can work if now I'm a mother, so I have to also, and I'm very thankful for that, take care of my kids, pick them up and be with them. But if I was not a mother, I would probably be working, 18 hours per day because I love my job and because there's always work when you're a founder. That's not healthy. I learned that pretty late as well. So someone told me once that I'm not good if I'm spending all my time and energy on my company, because when I'm then failing at something in the company, I feel like a complete failure in everything that I do. So you have to have a balance, because balancing out these things make you a better founder. So whenever I spend more time with my kids, I'm actually better at my work. So the balance is not only because you have to relax sometimes, it's also because it actually makes you better at your job. Take vacation, do something else, spend time with your family and friends. It makes you better at your job. So it's actually positive all the way through. Yeah, that's something I learned very late as well. And then just like, listen, I get everything you're saying.
So kind of flip the narrative, actually. You need that balance. I mean, it's actually to be a good founder.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
True. I mean, we have been focusing on mental health in the Innofounder incubator for years now, because we've seen too much of this. We've seen too many founders crash. It's super, super hard. I think both the dilemma here is like greatly phrased, and your input here, Cecilie, is also spot on. We actually developed this whole narrative to like help maybe guide a few founders away from the dangerous path towards self-destruction almost. That like, again, a mindset thing. You are not your company.
Exactly.
But you are its primary caregiver. Right?
Oh, that's a nice way of phrasing it.
That has actually resonated really, really well with a lot of people. Because not being your company is one thing, but what do you put in place how do you replace that? You cannot not do something. If I ask you not to think of a pink elephant, you think of a pink elephant. So you have to do something instead. And thinking of yourself as your company's primary caregiver actually cleans up a lot of mess. So much like you referred to your kids, this is an entity you put into the world. It's super young. It's not able to stand on its own feet. You have to feed it and take care of it. I use a lot of these references to like family life because it actually is something that people can relate to. Yes. And it's actually, I think it's rather spot on. Yes. Navigating chaos rather than trying to put everything in nice little boxes is also a thing. Very good. Accept chaos. Accept that it's like, it is chaotic. And but life actually is.
How do you do that? How do you thrive in chaos?
No, but for me, it was the thing, I think we very much agree on this, with normalizing it.
Normalizing.
You have to figure out, it's not a job in like Novo or whatever. Yeah. Like there's not someone who's saying, oh, this is what you're going to do every day. There will be many mistakes. There will be a lot of chaos. Like you have to be okay with that. And that's normalizing it. Don't just talk to people who are then in a regular employee situation. You have to have a network with other people who can tell you, this is also happening for me. This is normal. I think that's definitely what's been helping me, at least.
Yeah, I think this is where the personality type fills in. What we talked about before. You just have to be a type of person that accepts and can actually behave in this kind of environment, because I've been part also of startups and had my own startup before, and you can just see that when some people come in, they're like, they're really like, this is crazy, I cannot handle this. And I mean, it's fair. Some people just cannot. Like every day they're like, what? But I thought this was the plan. Why are we changing the plan now? It's like, we have to move. Like, that was yesterday. Today is something different. But some people are like, oh no, like this is not for me. Like I cannot handle this. So, but I think there is a little bit of a connection to also high performing employees, because before I've been a founder or an investor, I've also worked for someone else, and I've always been I think high-performing employee, and I think you feel the same pressure when you're a high-performing employee. And I agree with you, Cecilie. Before I had a kid, like I spent all my time working, most of my free time working. I mean, and that was just normal for me. Like I've had years when I didn't take vacation, and then it hits you, and you're like, "Oh hell, this was not a good idea."
So it will hit you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's just the question is when, not if. Like if you just spend all your time working, it's gonna hit you.
Yeah, at some point.
Yeah,
for sure.
So, but how do you cope? Because I think a part of the dilemma is also, okay, so when the tough times hits, one thing is normalizing it, but is there some tips or tricks to how to cope with that stress that follows?
For us, for me, I think having a co-founder has been a huge help, because all of us in the team have had ups and downs, but luckily not at the same time. So when one of us is down, the other ones are like picking up the slack and like talking through us, like, hey, this is fine, we're gonna get over this, we've been through other stuff before. Like it's really important to have a really good group of people. This is why also Cecilie was saying at the beginning, like you need that good team, and it's also for times like this. You cannot feel like you're alone, because if you feel like you're alone against everyone else, then it's like the recipe for disaster.
I very much agree. I think now I don't have a co-founder. I'm using my team for this. Like I'm very transparent. I feel like we're taking. I know I'm the one calling the shots, but like we're actually they're very active in deciding what to do with the company, what direction we're going in. But also when I feel really bad, I can actually tell them and they will support me. So I think that is like, you cannot do this yourself. You have to be very aware of that. So remember to involve the right people, get a good team around you. And this is also back to what you said, Anna, before about the mindset. This is really hard. I think it's really hard to find the right people. It's really, really hard to find the right people, because no one knows how it is to, as you're saying, like changing the strategy every day, or like the pace is extremely high. Pace is nothing about working a lot of hours. It's about we have to do a lot of things in a very short time. It's very demanding, and there's not a lot of people who can do that. So you have to find the right people who are willing to do that and can support you at the same time. Don't sit with everything yourself. That will
for sure not.
Yeah,
it's definitely also like sometimes I just found myself smiling slightly when you said this thing with like finding someone is really hard. Yes, it is, and the parallel again, the analogy to like individual personal life. You should go get like a girlfriend or boyfriend, right? Do that.
Just try it out.
So easy. Yeah, just you shouldn't be alone. Go find someone to share your life with.
Yes.
Because that's the same thing we're talking about here.
Yes. Yeah.
Like when finding a co-founder is like go find a co-founder. Yeah. It's not something you just do.
No, definitely not.
That's the other thing I don't like about how founders are portrayed in media. Is like a solo hero journey.
Yeah.
Never is. They have amazing investors who have amazing networks who open doors for them. Yeah. They have co-founders and team. If you're lucky to get a good investor, right, you would have good support. You'll have co-founders or your team that you rely on, and I mean also very, very important, who do you rely on at home? Like who takes care of the family, who takes care of the kids, who stays like late at night with them when you need to go out, and all those things. Like I met Jan at an event the other day, and I just told him I realized how much of building stuff actually happens outside of working hours. Yeah. Like you have to spend so many hours after work. If you're building anything.
Yes.
You're basically on the whole time. So constantly. You shouldn't work 18 hours straight a day. I really advise against that. Yeah. So I totally agree with you there, Cecilie. But you probably also agree with me that you're never like really off.
Never.
Right.
And that's you're back always, to your point before about being passionate about what you're building. Yeah. I think that's really important, because that's actually not draining for me.
No.
To be on constantly, because I really love what I'm doing. Like I think this is the most amazing thing in the world. So I'm pretty much okay with being on all the time. but agree you don't have to work all the time. And I think this is back to finding the right people.
Yeah.
This is also really hard, but you have to find someone, especially early stage, that feels the same. Like you're very passionate about this. You really want to do this. So you have to be on all the time. It's a lot to demand of people, actually. Yes. And I don't like to demand this of people. So I need someone working in my company who feels that already.
Who demands it from themselves.
Yes, exactly.
But you're actually saying that he also just has to accept. I mean, that there will be tough times.
Oh, yes.
100%.
But he doesn't have to deal with it alone, is also what you're saying, right?
Exactly.
Find a network, either a network like Cecilie has, or a co-founder, or a team, or someone that they can rely on and share this with.
And this is for everyone. So every time you're seeing someone always like raising money and selling and talking about these things, everyone is like, actually, I spent a lot of time thinking that I was building a worse company than everyone else. And then I figured out that they're just like hiding it. If you're actually sitting with them alone, they will tell you that, I lost this contract the other day, or this happened. Or so again, back to the normalization. Everyone is in the same situation.
It's
not easy.
And do remember, building a company is a team effort.
Yes.
That will be the last point from the panel to you, Simon. We do think in the panel, and I think you all agree about that, there will be tough times when you're a founder. That's just how it is. And that's back to the founder's mindset, that you need that to cope with the stress that follows. But you don't have to do it alone. Maybe you can find a co-founder, and Jens says that's not just something you just do. So that's always easy to say, but much more difficult when you have to find the right one, just like when you have to find your soulmate. That's not done overnight. But go search for maybe a co-founder that can help you, because then you can balance each other out. When someone is feeling down, the other can help. But maybe it could also be through the team. I mean, Cecilie is have never had a co-founder. Did you have? Oh, you have
in the very early.
Oh, you had one,
yes.
but right now you don't have one.
Yes.
But you have your team to support you. So it's just important to find someone that can help you through this journey, because even though you see it in the headlines in the media that building a startup is a solo effort, it's definitely never a solo effort. So bear that in mind and find the right people. Thank you so much for your dilemma. Okay, and now we're for the final dilemma. Are you ready for that?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, it goes here. Dear even founders in the Career Club, as a startup founder, I'm torn about mentorship, and I hope you can help me. I know it's important, but finding the right mentor feels like finding a needle in a haystack. Mentor can give valuable advice, but finding them is so tough. I feel like I'm searching really for it, but I've never really found one that can fit me. And approaching them too, that's scary. Will they even help someone like me? I've just started a company, and I'm not really found my journey. So how do I find a mentor without getting overwhelmed and find one that can actually support me in this journey? Very best, Nadja. Okay, about mentorship. That's actually a bit in line with what we already touched upon with the co-founders, and then you don't have to deal with your journey alone.
I feel like that's kind of my home turf here.
It is, yeah. Go for it, Jan.
Yeah, heading mentoring at the Innofounder for 6 years. So
tell us everything you know.
No, but it is tough, and actually exactly corresponding to finding a co-founder or finding a spouse of sorts. But I would say there are different kinds of mentoring. Mentoring as a term, we have been working a lot on defining mentoring, because we actually made early on a choice in the Innofounder incubator to make it to distinct between business mentoring, as we call it, and domain expertise. Mm-hmm. So if you look for someone to give you specific advice in something maybe very technical, or something about selling or marketing, or that can be like a very, very wide aspect of stuff here, that's perfect. You can just pick them on the basis of their merits and their insights, which is great. And it sounds like what this dilemma is more about finding someone who can like guide you in the whole leadership aspect, right?
Yeah.
And
I agree.
in that sense, in that case, I would advise against finding someone who necessarily has domain expertise within your field. Because that person will then default into the domain expertise and not stay on track with guiding you as an individual, as a human being, as a leader. So we often present to new Innofounder startups that the way we do mentoring is we find someone who has built something themselves. Again, the analogy to having kids, putting an entity into the world. If you ask someone, if you have someone who's not a parent asking a parent, how is it to have kids? It's like, where do I start?
Yeah.
It's like completely impossible to answer that question, right? Oh, is it great? It's something very different. Sometimes it's amazing, sometimes it's hell. But so it has to be someone who has built something. And then of that person should understand that what he or she is offering is an experienced outside perspective of what it is you do and how you make decisions, what you consider and so forth. So the eye sees everything but itself, this paraphrasing of Shakespeare. And that's actually a good guiding star for this, I think.
Yes, I so much agree with you. And I've actually never been searching for a mentor. Like I've never even used that word but I actually found one the beginning of last year without searching for one. And it's the same. He's been building, he was the founder of something called ServiceNow. It's a pretty big company today, and a few other companies actually. He was working when I met him last year as can't even remember what they call it. It doesn't matter. He's advising startups through a VC venture partner, I guess they're calling it. So Kevin is in UK. I met him at this VC dinner. He was talking with the VC he's working for to we were 8 founders out of Denmark or something like that. Everyone knew who Kevin was. And I, to be honest, had no clue at this point. I was like, ServiceNow, what's that? Yeah. That was a big thing apparently. And he came to me after that dinner, as it happens very often. You know this, Anna, I was the only female founder there. Most of the companies doing amazing things in future of work or fintech. I'm in fertility space, just being in health. It's a bit different. And he came to me after, he was like, we have to talk together again. I was like, why do you want to talk to me? And Kevin has his own personal experiences with fertility treatment. So that was also the passion part of it. But no domain expertise, just private knowledge about this subject. And he's probably going to laugh if he hears me calling him a mentor. He's our chief of board today. He also invested in the company. I am talking to him every day. Basically, at least 6 out of 7 days per week. It's about everything. He is actually participating in sales meetings sometimes. He is helping me with people problems. He's helping me with what to do with investors, hiring, everything. And he is, if I was not working with Kevin, I would probably have lost my mind the last 6, 7, 8 months, something like that, many times. So I get the need for a mentor. I was never looking for someone.
You just stumbled upon him.
I stumbled upon him, but this is the reason why the company is at least doing okay right now. I don't know if it's good or bad. You never know that in a startup, but it's because of the things that I'm getting from him. Not only me, actually now also the rest of the team. So I get the need for it. I don't think you maybe actively have to be looking for it. Yeah. Maybe you can just find it when you find chemistry with someone at some point, and also agree on don't look for someone with domain knowledge. Look for someone who's been building something before. That's what I'm getting for Kevin. And if you ever meet someone, don't hold back, actually. I think the best thing about this startup world, most people are actually very willing to help you quite a lot. I learned that pretty early on. It's amazing the support you can get. And I'm trying to do the same. I think there's so many people giving back all the time, even though they are working insane hours and they're so busy. You can get so much support. So I actually feel that's the least to worry about. If you ever meet someone, go and ask them. They will probably just be very happy, and I am 90% sure that they will then say yes to help you in some way.
You're nodding, Anna. Do you have anything to add to that?
I mean, I would 100% agree, because once you start building something, most people really like to see you succeed. So most people will be like, let me tell you how I did it. Also, people are happy to talk about themselves and their experience, and it's just a nice mix. But we do the same with what you're saying, Jan, with division of like generalists and then domain experts. We do the same. So if you have a pricing issue, then this is a pricing expert. Like, don't ask like a generalist about it. But what we have found is when you're in a very early stage, like the founders that we work with, it actually works best if you find a mentor that's just a few steps ahead. That's not too far, that has had an exit, but it's actually just a few steps ahead, because they also have much fresher memory of what it is actually to be in that very, very, very early days. And we also see a pattern of what people struggle with in the very early days is basically just making a plan for themselves of like, what do I need to do in the next 6 months? Like, okay, now I'm out of the program, now, okay, what's next? So I think when you get someone that's just a few steps ahead, we have found that works really, really, really well with our founders. And really just, maybe you think of it as a mentor, but I also think, like, I agree with you, Cecilie, you don't have to make it so kind of
formal.
Yeah, formal.
Yeah, exactly.
I think sometimes you'll just meet someone at an event, or you hear them talk somewhere, just approach them and be like, listen, this is where I am. Do you think you could, would you like a coffee where I can, spare with you and ask you a few questions? Like, it's that simple.
As with a lot of things, when we talk startups and founders, there's a lot of labeling, but don't gravitate towards labeling, because it's not important really. The content is what actually happens is. But I also want to say that we sometimes, I kind of often see teams who we early on talked about, I think you mentioned it, Cecilie, about just jumping into it and doing it. Because you can research to some degree, but then you just have to do it. Sometimes we see people like barricading themselves in advisors.
Yeah, that's true.
Like having so many advisors, because like you can have, obviously one advisor or mentor is a very good thing, especially if you find your Kevin. But
find your
having
Kevin.
Find your Kevin. That's the advice.
For sure. But maybe also 2. 3 is even a bit much, but above 3, don't do it, because everybody has an opinion, and nobody knows the truth.
No,
there is no. It's not a calculation here. It's not science in that sense. You have to live it and to do it. And finding these people with domain expertise, they have what we call winner's dilemma. If they were successful about building a company. So you just have to do as I did, as you mentioned,
exactly,
Anna.
Yeah.
That's what we call winner's dilemma. Not dilemma, winner's bias. Sorry, that was my.
You were biased by the dilemmas.
Biased by the dilemmas. Yeah, I even wrote it on my pad here. Okay, great job, Jan. I made a mistake. Oh, I must be human.
Perfect.
But the winner's bias, so that you actually gravitate towards advising somebody else to do what you did. And that's an even bigger problem if somebody succeeded in tech 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Because business models changed, tech changed, the world
VC
changed,
has
right?
changed, everything.
Yes. But it seems like you're actually just advising to, just be open-minded, and maybe you will find someone, but you don't have to write, hey, do you want to be my mentor? Because that's getting to a bit formal, using the labels.
Yeah, so it really depends on what you actually need. I think what you said before, Anna, about having someone who can then advise you on something. I actually, I have Kevin as the closest I guess I get to a mentor, or almost like he's participating in like almost like operating the company as well. But my favorite investors, I really don't hope my larger investors
they are all your favorites.
Everyone is of course favorites. No, my favorite investors are actually some of my angels. I have a few, not that many angel investors, and my favorite ones is the ones that started a company themselves. And I agree with you, Anna, on many of them is same stage as I am, or maybe just a bit in front of me. And that's amazing, because they are, first of all, of course, willing to help, also because they invested in the company. So they're very willing to actually give value back or create something. I'm spending a lot of time when I'm considering hiring a new person or going into a new area of monetization, whatever it can be, talking to them. So doesn't even have to be mentoring and then just because you know something about the area, or if it can actually also be someone who has who sees value in the company, of course, because they invested as well. I think that's, and like angels can, like I have angels with like very small tickets. So it doesn't have to be like huge amounts, but just to be actually a part of the company also create some more interest, of course, in helping you with these
and
things.
small tickets means like small investments.
Sorry, sorry. Yeah.
There's a lot of lingo.
Okay, we need to give some advice now for Nadia. Super great input from the panel here. So first of all, Nadia, it's a good idea to find a mentor, but like it is with your spouse or co-founder, it's not just something that you find overnight. It takes time, and actually, the panel thinks you should just be open-minded to the people you meet and take a coffee, expand your network, and maybe one day you will stumble upon your Kevin, like Cecilie did. And then maybe also think about that it doesn't really matter how, invested in the company financially your mentors are. Sometimes it's also about having that passionate angle to the project that can help a lot. And then Anna has a really good point about not finding a mentor that is too far in the process, but maybe find a mentor that is maybe like just 2-3 steps ahead of you, because then they know exactly what you're facing at the moment. Thank you so much for your dilemma. And thank you to you in the panel for participating in this special episode about early founders and their startup journey. And thank you so much for you listening in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Du lyttede til Karriereklubben, en podcast produceret af Andrea Thormand, Pauline Rossmeisl og Nima Tisdal. Du kan altid følge Karriereklubben inde på dine respektive sociale medier. Vi glæder os til at høre fra dig. Tak fordi du lyttede med.